Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and you are tuning in to 25 books I want to read in 2025. Okay, so I came up with this idea of having 25 books to read in 2025 because I really wanted to have like a yearly TBR kind of. So I'm going to probably keep doing this for years to come because I do have my regular TBR and it's just out of control. It's never ending and I don't really necessarily want it to. I'm a mood reader, so wherever the wind blows is what I'm going to read. But I really wanted to have a year TBR because I feel like it'll kind of keep me held accountable to be able to read these books throughout the year. Because I mean, 365 days, I can get through 25 books in a year. I can do that. And so I decided to pick books that I really just have been dying to read, okay? Or books that are super anticipated for me, or books that have been on my physical TBR for far too long and they need to come off because my physical TBR is really what I'm focused on because I want to read more books on my physical TBR so I can buy more books. Okay, you see where I'm going there? So, yeah, that's my thought process. And now that I was like prepping for this video, I actually realized I've read about, I think, three or four, maybe five books that were on my 2025 TBR already, and I didn't even realize it. So I'm super excited that I'm kind of already ahead of the game because I thought that I read no books on this TBR yet, and I was like, dang. So like I said, a lot of these books are my physical TBR, and then a lot of them are also just like on Kindle Unlimited, and then maybe from the library. Depends on if my library has them or where I can get them at, whatever. Without further ado, let's get into the list. Okay, we're starting off with Salem Falls by Jodi Picoult. I have read one book by Jodi Picoult so far, and it was this year. It's called Mad Honey. I did a reading vlog for it. I absolutely loved it. Loved it. And I've only heard really great things about her and her books, so I'm super excited to read another book by her. And I got this from Book Outlet, and I don't want it on my physical TBR too long. Like, I want to just go ahead and read it. So let's see what it's about. When Jack St. Bride came to Salem Falls, no one knew that the former girls' prep school teacher was destroyed when a student's crush sparked a powder keg of disturbing charges. Seeking a fresh start, Jack quietly slips into his new role as a dishwasher at Addie Peabody's Do or Diner, and Addie herself makes a sweet and surprising connection to this unassuring man. As Addie opens her heart, a courtlet of teenage girls maliciously targets Jack with shocking allegations. Now everything, Jack's future, Addie's happiness, and the verdict in a he said, she said courtroom battle depends on unearthing the truth. I mean, I'm kind of, I don't know what to think about this. I'm excited to read it though. So what is going on? I mean, that just seems kind of crazy. I think once could be like, okay, well, maybe there were some things misconstrued, but now this is the second time you're being accused of something like this. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that's something's up with that. Okay. Next we have The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. This is a series. I think it's called the Green Sister series. And so I've heard really good things about the whole series, but also I think this book is the first book. It should be the first book. I don't want to read it out of order. I'm pretty sure this is the first book. And I got this in January for my birthday, and I do not want this on my TBR going into the next year. So I was like, it needs to be read this year. Let's see what it's about. Shy, bookish, and admittedly awkward, Lily Green has always felt inadequate compared to the rest of her accomplished family, who strive for Black excellence. She dreams of becoming a children's book editor, but she's been frustratingly stuck in the nonfiction division for years without a promotion in sight. Lily finds escapism in her correspondence with her favorite fantasy author, and what begins as two lonely people connecting over email turns into a tentative friendship and possibly something else. Lily won't let herself entertain until he ghosts her without a word. Months later, Lily is still crushed, but she's determined to get a hold of her life, starting with finding a date to her sister's wedding. And the perfect person to help her is Nick Brown, her charming, attractive new neighbor who she feels drawn to for reasons she can't explain. But little does she know, Nick is an author, her favorite fantasy author. Nick, who has reasons for using a pen name and pushing people away, soon realizes that the beautiful, quiet girl from down the hall is the same Lily he fell in love with over email months ago. Unwilling to complicate things even more between them, he agrees to set her up with someone else. Through this simple favor between two neighbors is anything but, not when he can't get her off of his mind. Okay, well, why did he ghost her? That's my number one question. The hell? Why would he do that? I will find out in the book, I hope. Next up is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I'm super excited to dive into this series. This is the Dreamland Billionaire series. I read her other series, I believe is the Lakefront Billionaire series, and the third book of that series is coming out this year as well, so I'm super excited about that. But I've heard really great things about this one. I have the whole complete set, I just haven't read them, so I want to get them off my bookshelf, okay? As in, like, I want to read them and I can like maybe gift them to somebody else. I want them read. Okay, so let's see what it's about. Rowan. I'm in the business of creating fairy tales, theme parks, production companies, five-star hotels. Everything could be all mine if I renovated Dreamland. My initial idea of hiring Zahara was good in theory, but then I kissed her. Things spiraled out of control once I started texting her using an alias. By the time I realized where I went wrong, it was too late. People like me don't get happy endings, not when we're destined to ruin them. Well, dang. Zahara. After submitting a drunk proposal criticizing Dreamland's most expensive ride, I should have been fired. Instead, Rowan Kane offered me a dream job. The catch? I had to work for the most difficult boss I'd ever met. Rowan was rude and completely off limits, but my heart didn't care. It was time to teach the billionaire that money couldn't fix everything, especially not us. What's tea? What is the secret? Why are you texting her with an alias? I have lots of questions. Lots of questions, okay? Next up is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. So I'm super excited to read this book. This is actually my fiance's copy, and he's read it and he loved it, and he's not really, a big reader. So I also find this book to be on so many lists, like all over the place, like bestseller, like books that you should, like everyone should read in their lifetime, those type of list. And so I feel like this is a classic and I need to read it. So let's get into what it's about, because I honestly don't really know. Paulo Coelho's enchanting novel has inspired a devout following around the world. This story, dazzling in its powerful simplicity and soul-stirring wisdom, is about an Andalusian shepherd boy named Santiago, who travels from his homeland in Spain to the Egyptian desert in search of a treasure buried near the pyramids. Along the way, he meets a gypsy woman, a man who calls himself king, and an alchemist, all whom point Santiago in the direction of his quest. No one knows what the treasure is or if Santiago will be able to surmount the obstacles in his path. But what starts out as a journey to discover worldly goods turns into a discovery of the treasure found within. Lush and deeply humane, the story of Santiago is an internal testament to the transforming power of our dreams and the importance of listening to our hearts. Wow. Okay, I'm actually super excited to read this. It sounds like a very good, heartwarming story. I hope. Next up is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. So Abby Jimenez is my girl. I just started reading her this year, but I am obsessed with her. I love her writing so much, but I'm very nervous about this book because I've heard very mixed reviews. I've heard mixed reviews. Some people love it, some people hate it, but also reading is subjective. So, of course, some people will love it, some people will hate it, but I'm just nervous because usually Abby, everyone loves. So, it's a little nerve-wracking that people are not liking it. Let's see what it's about. There might be no such thing as a perfect guy, but Xavier Rush comes disastrously close. A gorgeous veterinarian giving Greek god vibes, all while cuddling a tiny kitten? Immediately, yes. That is until Xavier opens his mouth and proves that even sculpted gods can say the absolute wrong thing. Of course, there's nothing Samantha loves more than proving an asshole wrong. Unless, of course, he can admit he made a mistake. But after one incredible and seemingly endless date, possibly the best in living history, Samantha is forced to admit the truth, that her family is in crisis and any type of relationship would be impossible. Samantha begs Xavier to forget her. to remember their night together as a perfect moment, as crushing as that may be. Only no amount of distance or time is nearly enough to forget that something between them. And the only thing better than one single perfect memory is to make a life and even a love worth remembering. What? I didn't really get anything from that. So I still am just a little confused on what it's about, but I'll figure it out when I read it. Next up is The Hunting Wives by Mary Cobb. I really want to read this because I think I saw that it is becoming a TV show on Peacock maybe, or Stars, or somewhere. It's coming on streaming somewhere this year. And I got this earlier this year from Book Outlet, and I really want to read it so I can watch the series. Okay, let's see what it's about. Sophie O'Neill left behind an envy-inspiring career and the stressful competitive life of big city Chicago to settle down with her husband and young son in a small Texas town. It seems like the perfect life with a beautiful home in an idyllic rural community. But Sophie soon realizes that life is now too quiet, and she's feeling bored and restless. Then she meets Margot Banks, an alluring socialite who is part of an elite clique secretly known as the Hunting Wives. Sophie is completely drawn to Margot and swept into her mysterious world of late-night target practice and dangerous partying, as Sophie's curiosity gives way to a full-blown obsession. Okay, what? That kind of took a turn. Why are you obsessed with her? Anyways, she slips further away from the safety of her family and deeper into this nest of vipers. When the body of a teenage girl is discovered in the woods where the Hunting Wives meet, Sophie finds herself in the middle of a murder investigation and her life spirals out of control. Well, I have lots of questions that I hope will be answered in the book, so I'm excited to read that one. Now I have Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This is the first book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and I mean, what a name for a series, okay? First and foremost, I think that's just the cutest name. And it's like a cowboy, it's Western cowboy, you know, that type of vibe. I don't think I've read a cowboy romance before, but I want to tap into it. And I've heard really great things about this book and also the series. And I think the fourth book or the third book, but I'm pretty sure it's the fourth book in the series came out a couple months ago. So I want to get started on it because I want to read through the series. So let's see what it's about. For the first time in her life, Clementine Emmy Ryder has no idea what she's doing. She's accomplished everything on her to-do list. She left her small-town home of Meadowlark, Wyoming, went to college, and made a career for herself by doing her favorite thing, riding horses. But after an accident makes it impossible for her to get back in the saddle, she has no choice but to return to the hometown she's always wanted to escape. Luke Brooks is Meadowlark's most notorious bad boy, bar owner and bachelor. Oh, he's like a triple trifecta, okay? He's also the unofficial fifth member of the Ryder family, as Emmy's older brother's best friend. Oh, snap. Okay. I'm already gonna like this. Luke spent most of his childhood antagonizing her. It's been years since he's seen her, but when she walks back into his bar and back into his life, he can't take his eyes off of her. Against his better judgment, he wants to do a whole lot more than just look at her. Emmy's got too much on her mind to think about romance, and Luke knows he should stay away from his best friend's younger sister. But what if Luke is just what Emmy needs to get her spark back? Or will they both go up in flames? I'm excited. I'm excited. This sounds good. I can't wait to read it. Okay, I realized that there are like no nonfiction books on this list for the most part. I think the other ones that are nonfiction I don't have them physically, but this is a nonfiction book that I really, really want to read, and I want to read it soon. It's called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's a spiritual path to higher creativity. I have heard so much about this book, like literally so much. And everyone just says it's just the most amazing book ever. And it really helps you tap into your like creator higher self and, you know, and just all of that. So I am super, super excited to read it. I've had it for years. I got this off of, yeah, I got this off of Thrift Books, probably for like $5. So I just want to at least start it, if not finish it this year, but I really want to just like start it because I'm tapping into my creative side by like doing booktube and like TikTok and Booksta and all that stuff. So I really want to see how this can help me like get to, I don't know, I want to be able to use it as a tool for like my creative outlets, if that makes sense. So let's read what it's about because I honestly don't really know what it's about. I just heard people say how they use it. The Artist's Way is an empowering book for aspiring and working artists. With the basic principle that creative expression is the natural direction of life, Julia Cameron leads you through a comprehensive 12-week program to recover your creativity from a variety of blocks, including limiting beliefs, fear, self sabotage, jealousy, guilt, addictions, and other inhibiting forces, replacing them with artistic confidence and productivity. That's interesting because never have I ever heard anyone say that it's a 12-week program. So that's interesting. But I'm excited. I like that. Okay. The Artist's Way links creativity to spirituality by showing in non dominational terms how to tap into the higher power that connects human creativity with the creative energies of the universe and guides you through a variety of highly effective exercises and activities that spur imagination and capture new ideas. Whatever your spiritual orientation, the Artist's Way will resonate in your creative mind with truth, wisdom, and inspiration. I mean, come on. It sounds like a life changing book and I want my life changed. So I have to read it and participate in the whole program. I love that it's a program. I think that will really help me read it is the fact that I can like break it up week by week. So I really, really enjoy that. That's cool. Next, I have Hold You Down by Tracy Brown. So I've only read one other book by Tracy Brown, but she is truly one of my favorite authors. And I'm super excited to read another book by her. I've heard really great things about this book. I've heard that it's kind of maybe triggering, and it deals with some, what is the, it kind of deals with some deep topics. So, but I feel like kind of all of her books do that from what have heard and like read online. The previous book that I read, Brooklyn, it was kind of heavy a little bit, like ever so slightly, but still kind of like, it touched on some subjects that may be triggering to some people. And I feel like this book does that also. But I think her writing is so beautiful and it's so well written that even though it's triggering, it is not too triggering, if that makes sense. But also, everyone's triggers are different. So, you know, it just depends. Anyways, let's get into what this book is about. New York City, late 80s to early 90s. That's the setting. All right. It has always been just Mercy and Lennox Howard. Growing up on the mean streets of Harlem with an absentee mother meant that they had to have each other's backs. Now, young, smart mothers, they are determined to survive in New York City while raising their two sons, Dion and Judah, who have bright futures ahead of them. Mercy is the quiet, straight-laced hospital administrator struggling to make ends meet. On night and on weekends, she pours her heart into her cooking and her dream of owning her own restaurant. Lennox is the diva, the wild child, looking for excitement in her big come up in life and love. Their boys have been raised more like brothers than cousins, forging a bond that is unbreakable. When Lennox heads down a path that she believes will bring success and power, it changes the course of her family and her family lives forever. As a result of their mother's choices, cousins Dion and Judah soon find themselves in uncharted territory. Well, what did she do? See, I gotta read this soon. I just got this for myself for Mother's Day, and I'm already like scheming on when I can read this. I'm in the middle of a couple books that I want to finish before I start this book, but I gotta start this very soon. I'm very excited to read that. Next is going to be The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. So I've heard so many good things about Kristin Hannah. I don't think I've seen a bad review about Kristin Hannah yet, but her books are so intimidating to me. Look at this. Look how thick this book is. I think this book is, yeah, it is 500. and like 60 pages. It's 564 pages. I don't think I've read a book that long in a very long time, if ever. I can't recall. So it's very, what is the word I just said? Intimidating. So I'm a little intimidated because it's so big. And then also, this is not a genre that I usually read. I think she usually writes like historical fiction or something of that nature. And I am not a historical fiction girly. So this is really, really branching out my comfort zone, but it's on the bookshelf. I want to get it off. So I am determined to read it sometime this year. Okay, let's tap into what it's about. With courage, grace, and powerful insight, best-selling author Kristen Hanna captures the epic panorama of World War II and illuminates an intimate part of history seldom seen, the Women's War. The Nightingale tells the stories of two sisters, separated by years and experience, by ideals, passion, and circumstance, each embarking on her own dangerous path toward survival, love, and freedom in German-occupied, war-torn France. A heartbreaking, beautiful novel that celebrates the resilience of the human spirit and the durability of women. It is a novel for everyone, a novel for a lifetime. I mean, like, come on. You have to read it. I have to read it. A novel of a lifetime? Come on, come on. I'm nervous, but I'm excited because I think it's going to be a really good book. So we'll see. Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This is one of my anticipated reads of this year. I bought it when it came out. I'm so excited to read this. I'm also sad because this is the third and final book in the Skyland series. And if you know me, you know I love the Skyland series. I love that series down. Probably one of my favorite book series ever. So good, so well written, so beautifully tied together. Even though they are all their own individual books. You know, I love it so much. And I've been waiting for Hendrik's story, so I'm super excited that this is out and I have it in my hands, and I'm going to do a reading vlog for it because I did a reading vlog for the other two books, and so I'm just super excited to just read it and finish up the series. So let's get into what it's about. Hendrix Berry lives a fabulous life. She has phenomenal friends, a loving family, and a thriving business in the entertainment industry. Your vision board? She's probably living it. She's a woman with goals, dreams, and ambitions, always striving upward. And in the midst of everything, she's facing her toughest challenge yet, caring for an aging parent. Who has time for romance? From her experience, there's a low RIO on relationships. She hasn't met a man that could keep up with her anyway, until him. Tech mogul Maverick Bell is a dilemma wrapped in an exquisitely tailored suit and knee-melting charm. From their first charged glance at the summer's hottest party, Hendrik feels like she's met her match. Only he can't be. Mav may be the first to make her feel seen and desired and appreciated, but he's the last one that she can have. Forbidden fruit is the juiciest, and this man is off limits if she has plans to stay the course she set for herself. But when Maverick gives chase, pursuing her, spoiling her, and understanding her, is it time to let herself have something more? I love it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I know that it's going to be good. I can just tell. Also, I love the name Maverick. Fun fact, we were going to name my son that, but we ended up not naming him that, but I love that name down. So I already am obsessed with the main male character in that book. Okay. Next, I have Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I'm a little nervous about this book, but I've heard really good things, and I just wanted to kind of branch out. It's considered a dark romance, and I don't really read dark romances, so I'm kind of scared. Okay, let's get into what it's about. Trauma nurse Allie Cappellucci doesn't need any more kinks. She likes the one she landed on just fine. To her, nothing could top the masked men she follows online. She fantasizes about one man in particular hunting her down, but she never could have guessed that one drunken text could make those dreams into a reality. Josh Hammond has spent his life avoiding the limelight, but his online persona is another story. At night, he posts mass thirst traps for his millions of fans, but one follower has caught his eye, Allie. Together, Allie and Josh live out their darkest fantasies, unaware that Allie has captured the attention of someone with far more sinister intentions. As Josh turns from predator to protector, he must ask himself how far he'll go for the woman he's obsessed with. See, like, I I kind of know what goes on with this, and so I'm a little scared. I'm a little nervous. But we'll see how I like it. We'll see how I like it. I want to say that's my first dark romance, but I don't know for sure. I have to look and I have to think back. But I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. So we'll see. I will definitely talk about it, okay, for sure. And the last physical book on my 2025 TBR is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, okay? I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book. Nothing but amazing things. I mean, I don't think I've seen one person say they didn't like this book. Like, I've only ever seen 5 or 4-star ratings for this book. Obviously, yes, there's people that probably don't like it, but that's neither here nor there. I haven't seen them. So I got this. I also have the second book. It's a trilogy. Actually, I think there's going to be a 4th book, but I don't remember. I don't know. But I have the second book on my bookshelf as well, but I need to get to Legendborn this year. I'm super, super excited to read this. I'm nervous. I'm nervous though because it's a little hefty, okay? And then also it is a fantasy. And I'm not a fantasy girl. Not a fantasy girly. So to give myself the best foot forward with this book, I requested the audiobook from my library. And I'm going to do an immersive reading for this book. I'm going to listen to it and I'm also going to read it because I feel like that's the best way for me to read this book, because I think just reading it by itself, it's going to be too much for me. And I really want to like it. So that's how I decided I'm going to read this book. I think I have maybe like another 8 weeks, maybe like 12 weeks until the audiobook is ready, but I'm chilling. That's okay. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to read it by the end of this year. But anyways, let's get into what the book is about. Okay. After her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants nothing to do with her family memories or childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape, until Bree witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. A flying demon feeding on human energies. A secret society of so-called legend-born students who hunt the creatures down, and a mysterious teenage mirage who calls himself a Merlin, and who attempts and fails to wipe Bree's memory of everything she saw. The Mirage's failure reveals Bree's own unique magic and a buried memory with a hidden connection. The night her mother died, another Merlin was at the hospital. Now that Bree knows there's more to her mother's death than what's on the police report, she'll do whatever it takes to find out the truth, even if it means infiltrating the Legendborn as one of their initiates. She recruits Nick, a self-exiled Legendborn with his own grudge, and gets the group, and their reluctant partnership pulls them deeper into the society's secrets and closer to each other. But when the Legendborn reveal themselves as the descendants of King Arthur's knights and explain that a magical war is coming, Bree has to decide how far she'll go for the truth and whether she should use her magic to take down the society or join the fight. I mean, that sounds pretty interesting to me. Also, what I'm nervous about is that she's 16, so the book is set about 16-year-olds and like kids in high school, and usually I do not like books like that. I am quite some time removed from high school, so I don't like reading about kids in high school because I just don't. I don't want to read about kids in high school. But I think that it's going to be good. Next, I'm going to go into the books that I don't have physically, but I still want to read them this year. So I'm either going to get them on Libby or Kindle Unlimited, or I'll just buy them. Starting off strong with a book that I already have on Libby right now. I'm going to start it today, and it is going to be James by Percival Everett. And this book is a Pulitzer Prize winner. Like, I think it just won the Pulitzer Prize like a week or two ago. So I've only heard really good things about it. It has a 4.4 rating on Goodreads. So I'm really excited to dive into it and see what it's about. So let's get into the description. A brilliant reimagining of Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, both harrowing and satirical, told from the enslaved Jim's point of view. When Jim overhears that he is about to be sold to a man in New Orleans, separated from his wife and daughter forever, he runs away until he can formulate a plan. Meanwhile, Huck has faked his own death to escape his violent father. As all readers of American literature know, thus begins the dangerous and transcendent journey by raft down the Mississippi River toward the elusive and unreliable promise of the free states and beyond. Brimming with nuanced humor and lacerating observations that have made Everett a literary icon, this brilliant and tender novel radically illuminates Jim's agency, intelligence, and compassion as never before. James is destined to be a major publishing event and a cornerstone of 21st century American literature. Like, how could you not be super excited to read that? Because I'm super excited to read that. I read that you don't have to read Adventures of Huckleberry Finn before reading this, and I'm glad because I read that in like high school, and that was some time ago. I don't remember anything from that book. So I'm very happy to just be able to dive into this. So I think it's going to be really good. I know it's going to be good. I'm just putting that energy out there. Next up is The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers. So I'm super excited about this book because I read Ashley's first novel, All Good People Here, last year, and I did a reading blog for it, and I loved/hated it. Okay. And I have a lot of feelings about it. I did a reading blog, so you can go check it out and see everything that I said about it. I'm not going to go into it right now. But anyways, I thoroughly did, for the most part, enjoy that book. So when I learned that she was releasing a new book this year, I was like, oh, yes. So this was a anticipated read of mine of this year. I do have this book requested on Libby, and I actually got it delivered to me like maybe once or twice, but I keep having to push it because I am not ready to read it yet, but I'm going to be reading it soon. I'm super excited to read this because the description looks crazy. So let's get into it, okay? Nicole Nick Monroe is in a rut. At 24, she lives alone in a dinky apartment in her hometown of Mishawaka, Indiana. She's just gotten a DWI and she works the same dead-end job she's been working since high school, a job she only has because her boss is a family friend and feels sorry for her. Everyone has felt sorry for her for the last 7 years, since the day her older sister Casey vanished without a trace. On the night Casey went missing, her car was found over 100 miles from home, the driver's door was open, and her purse was untouched in the seat next to it. The only real clue in her disappearance was Jules Connor, another young woman from the same area who disappeared in the same way 2 weeks earlier. But with so little for the police to go on, both their cases eventually went cold. Nick wants nothing more than to move on from her sister's disappearance and the state that it's left her in. But one day, Jules' sister, Jenna Connor, walks into her life and offers Nick something that she hasn't felt in a long time: hope. What follows is a gripping tale of two sisters who will do anything to find their missing halves, even if it means destroying everything they've ever known. I mean, that sounds crazy. Because what the hell is about to happen? What the hell happened to these girls? I have so many questions, and I'm really excited to read to figure it out, okay? Next, I have The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Me and Rebecca Yarros have beef, okay? Because I read The Last Letter, and she destroyed my heart in that one, so I'm really skeptical to read any other book by her. I didn't even realize that she was the same author who wrote, like, I didn't realize she wrote both those books, The Fourth Wing and The Last Letter. But now that I know that, I'm skeptical to read The Fourth Wing because even though they are completely two different genres, I know she's going to piss me off in this book also. I just know she is. So I will probably read this like later in the year. I don't know. But let's get into what it's about, okay? Also, this is fantasy. And again, I'm nervous for these fantasy books on my TBR because I just am not a fantasy person. But I want to branch out and I want to be one. So that's why I added them to my TBR because I got to do it some way, somehow. You know, I got to branch out and I got to read what's outside my comfort zone. So yeah, let's go. Enter the brutal and elite world of a war college for dragon riders. 21-year-old Violet Sorrengail was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living in a quiet life among books and history. Now, the commanding general, also known as her toughest Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Naraviv, dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away, because dragons don't bond to fragile humans. They incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than candidates, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter, like Xaden Royson, the most powerful and ruthless ringleader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet, with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly. The kingdom's protective wars are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers, everyone at the Bagsgath War College has an agenda. Because once you enter, there are only two ways out: graduate or die. Oh my goodness. I've heard nothing but great things about this book, so obviously I had to jump on the bandwagon and add it to my TBR. But again, I'm skeptical because it's fantasy and it's Miss Rebecca Yarros, and I don't know. But I did start it and then I stopped it because I just wasn't getting into it. So I think I might have to listen to this on audio and read it. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to tapping back into it. Next up on my TBR is Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is the third and final book in the Maple Hills series. I have read the other two books and I kind of loved them. And I'm really excited to just finish the series out and read Daydream, except I've been waiting for it on Libby forever. I think I placed I placed my hold March 2nd. Okay, and I still have 7 more weeks to go until I get it. That's crazy. But moving along, let's get into what it's about, okay? The third in the New York Times bestselling Maple Hill series follows fan favorite Henry and a bookish fellow student who come up with a plan to help them both overcome their respective challenges in a difficult year. When his procrastination lands him in a difficult class with his least favorite professor, and now with his new title of captain for the hockey team, which he didn't even want, Henry absolutely cannot fail. Enter Hallie Jacobs, a fellow junior who finds herself befriended by Henry when he accidentally crashes her book club. Hallie may not have the romantic pursuits of her favorite fictional leads, but she's an academic superstar, and as soon as she hears about Henry's problems with his class reading material, she offers to help. Too bad being a private tutor isn't exactly a deal given her own studies, job, book club, and the novel she's trying to write. But new experiences are key to beating her writer's block, and Henry's promising to be the one to give them to her. They just need to stick to their rule book. Oh, and not fall in love. I mean, I know this might be like my favorite book out of the series. I feel like it is going to be, so I'm really excited to read it. And hopefully I get it sooner than 7 weeks, but we'll see. Next, I have Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. So I feel like if you're on Book Talk, BookTube, Booksta, if you are in a space with books, you've heard about Magnolia Parks. Okay, I've heard about it nonstop from all of the people that I follow, and I'm like, okay, I will read it. I will read it. So I'm really excited to read this. I have it requested on Libby. I don't know, it's going to take a couple weeks to get to me, I think, because I did get it, but then I had to send it back because I wasn't ready to read it. That happens way more often than I would like it to, but nonetheless, I've heard such good things about it, and so I'm really interested to start the series because it's like a whole universe. There's like Magnolia Parks, there's Daisy Hates. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But I'm excited to start it, hopefully this year. Okay, so let's get into what it's about. She is a beautiful, affluent, self-involved, and mildly neurotic London socialite. He is Britain's most photographed bad boy who broke her heart. Magnolia Parks and BJ Ballantyne are meant to be, and everyone knows it. She dates other people to keep him at bay. He sleeps with other girls to get back at her for it. But at the end of every sad endeavor to get over one another, it's still each other they crawl back to. But now their dysfunction is catching up with them, pulling at their seams and fraying the world they've built. A world where neither has ever let the other go completely. As the cracks start to show and secrets begin to surface, Magnolia and BJ are finally forced to face the formidable question they've been avoiding all their lives. How many loves do you really get in a lifetime? What the hell is going on with them? I want to say people have compared this like book and this series like to kind of like Gossip Girl. And so that's kind of like the idea that I'm going into the books with. So that's the vibe that I get from these books. I'm kind of nervous because I do not like books that are set in the UK/London. I don't know, it's just a weird thing for me. It's one of my book icks, but I'll get over it because I really do want to read these books. But yeah. Anyways, I'm excited to read it and I think I'm gonna like it, but we'll see. We'll see. Hey guys, so it's future journey, editing journey, just popping in to say that this video was filmed a little bit ago. Okay, not too much on me, but anyways, just to say that it was filmed prior to the author's rant that she just recently went on. You can go look it up. I'm not going to get into it, but just saying that this book is definitely off my TBR. But like I said, I already filmed the video, so I just wanted to put in this little disclaimer to let you guys know that I'm not reading this book anymore. Okay, and if you have some suggestions on what I should replace it with, let me know. Thank you. I hope you've been enjoying the video. Bye. Next is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. So I've heard great things, nothing but great things about S.A. Cosby. And so I really want to read a book by him by the end of this year. I have this one on my TBR, but it might change because I know that he just came out or he's coming out with another book, maybe in June. Anyway, he's coming out with the book this year as well. And so I don't care what book it is. I'm going to read an S.A. Cosby book by the end of this year, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be this one. So let's get into what it's about. A black father, a white father, two murdered sons. A quest for vengeance. Ike Randolph has been out of jail for 15 years, with not so much as a speeding ticket in all of that time. But a black man with cops at the door knows to be afraid. The last thing he expects to hear is that his son Isaiah has been murdered, along with Isaiah's white husband, Derek. Ike has never fully accepted his son, but is devastated by his loss. Derek's father, Buddy Lee, was almost as ashamed of Derek for being gay as Derek was ashamed his father was a criminal. Buddy Lee still has contacts in the underworld, though, and he wants to know who killed his boy. Ike and Buddy Lee, two ex-cons with little else in common other than a criminal past and the love for their dead sons, band together in their desperate desire for revenge. In their quest to do better for their sons in death than they did in life, hardened men Ike and Buddy Lee will confront their own prejudice about their sons and each other as they rain down vengeance upon those who hurt their boys. I mean, that just sounds really good and also just sounds like it'll be heartbreaking, but in a good way, if that makes sense. Either way, I'm excited to read this because it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I can get it at any time, or to read his new book. I'm kind of leaning towards his new book, but I don't really know what it's about, but I saw the cover and I was like, it's a great cover. I'll put it up here for you guys to see. Like, look at this cover. Come on now. So we'll see what I end up reading, but I'm excited either way. Next, I have Saving Noah by Lucinda Berry. So Lucinda Berry is an author that I really want to get into. I've heard nothing but good things about her books and that she's kind of like almost a Frida McFadden type of author. I am interested into reading Lucinda just because I feel like I need more thrillers. Because that's what I used to read all the time, but recently I just haven't been reading them. And I think it's because of the authors that I've been reading the thrillers by, if that makes sense. So I'm excited to read a new thriller author. Anyways, so let's get into what it's about. Meet Noah, an A honor roll student, award-winning swimmer, and small-town star destined for greatness. There weren't any signs that something was wrong until the day he confesses to molesting little girls during swim team practice. He's sentenced to 18 months in a juvenile sexual rehabilitation center. His mother, Adrienne, refuses to turn her back on him, despite his horrific crimes, but her husband won't allow Noah back into their home. In a series of shocking and shattering revelations, Adrienne is forced to make the hardest decision of her life. Just how far will she go to protect her son? Saving Noah challenges everything you think you know about teenage sexual offenders. It will keep you up at night long after you've read the last page, questioning beliefs you once thought were true. I've heard good things about this book. I've also heard kind of I've heard kind of mixed reviews about this book, so I'm interested to see what I think about it. Last but not least, on my 2025 TBR, I have The Memory Collectors by Dee Meserve. So I'm super excited about this book. I think it came out maybe a week or two ago. I'm most likely going to go buy it physically, I think, because I'm just like ready to read it. I'm going to see if it's at my library, and I might just request it from my library, like request them to buy it, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, I first heard about this book in a booktuber that I watch. I was watching some video by her and she was talking about it. I don't remember anything else besides that. I really don't. But she made it sound really good. And I was like, okay, immediately add to TBR. I need to read this. So let's get into what it's about. What would you do if you could spend an hour in your past? Four strangers in the beach town of Ventura, California are about to find out. Elizabeth aches for one more precious hour with her son who died in a senseless accident. Andy is desperate to find his first love who vanished after a whirlwind romance. Logan craves the rush of surfing and mountain climbing, yearning to reclaim the freedom he lost after a misstep landed him in a wheelchair. Brooke is looking for an hour of relief from the guilt of an unforgivable mistake. Enter Aeon Expeditions, the groundbreaking time travel invention of Mark Sanders, which allows some lucky clients the chance to spend an hour in their past. Even though Aeon's technology ensures time travel can't alter the future, all four clients, including Mark's ex-wife Elizabeth, yearn to revisit the hour that changed their lives forever. But when their hour extends beyond 60 minutes, they find themselves stranded in the past. As their paths intertwine unexpectedly, they unearth shocking secrets hidden in the shadows of their shared lives. All of their lives were shattered the same night on a secluded highway by the beach. As they delve into the hidden truths of that hour, a startling revelation emerges. They were not alone. Someone else was present, harboring deadly intentions. The Memory Collectors is a heart-wrenching, genre-bending novel brimming with hope, grief, and second chances. Like, does that not sound super good? I have so many questions, and I need to read them to figure out the answer to all of them. Okay, guys, let's get into all of the books on my 2025 TBR that I've already read. And I got all these books off of Libby, so this is your reminder to get a library card and utilize Libby and just utilize your library in general. They are a wealth of knowledge and resources, and we need to use them, okay? So starting off with Annibot by Sierra Greer. So I rated this book 3 out of 5 stars. It just did not hit for me like it did everybody else. I feel like I heard really good things about this, but I don't know. It just wasn't for me. And that's okay because reading is subjective, so that's fine. For every person that didn't like this book, there's another person that did. I didn't necessarily like the author's writing, and I didn't necessarily like the plot. I also didn't necessarily like the ending. So, but I did like some parts of it, which is why I rated it 3 out of 5, because I felt like I like that it was really short. It was under 300 pages, which is cool. I think I read it in a day, so I loved that. But everything else, I don't know. I liked the main female character. I hated the main male character. It was just, I have a lot of feelings about it that I can't really articulate. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I don't know what else to say. Next up is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. This was a 5-star read for me. This is a memoir, and I think that Jennette was so raw and real in this and really opened my eyes to a lot of things that, she went through when she was giving us like amazing iCarly episodes. I can't imagine, how am I trying to put this? Knowing what was going on behind the scenes, like I just feel so much respect and like I just feel for her because I can only imagine how hard doing all of that had to be while also going through what she was going through behind the scenes. And as a mother, it is just heartbreaking to hear what the abuse that she went through with her mom. And also just as a daughter as well. Like it was just a whole bunch of feelings. And I really, really respect Jennette for how she wrote the book. and sharing her story because she didn't have to do that. And so I loved this. I think everybody should read it. And it was really, really good, in my opinion. It was a really good, I think it was like the first memoir I've ever read. And now I'm on a memoir kick. I've read like 3 other memoirs. Next up is The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. I rated this 5 stars. And when I tell you that I wanted to DNF this book so bad, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm so glad I didn't because I ended up loving this. And this again goes into why I don't like reading books that the characters are like kids or they are high schoolers, because the main characters in this book are kids. And so they were acting like kids, and I was getting frustrated with how they were acting because I'm like, just think like what is going on? But they're kids. They're acting like kids and it makes sense, but it's hard for me to like differentiate that, if that makes sense. Okay. But and also it was kind of triggering a little bit just the with what the book is about, and knowing that this is not something that is like a fiction, even though it is like a fiction book. The stuff that is written in this book happened and worse. Like, so that also was kind of triggering, but overall, amazing book. I loved the writing. I loved the ending. I would love to see this made into like a movie. I think it would be a really good movie. I also think that it's a book that everybody should read. It was really good in my opinion, even though it could be kind of triggering. So, but I really, really did enjoy it. Next is The Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose. So this was also a highly anticipated book of mine, and I was so excited to read it, and it just fell flat for me. I rated this 3.5 out of 5, and I honestly can't tell you exactly why I didn't really like it. I just was kind of like, oh, okay, that's good, but it definitely was not as good as the first one. And I rated The Perfect Marriage, which is the first book in this series, a 5 star. So that was my vibe going into The Perfect Divorce, which is the second book in this series. I was like, oh, this is going to be a 5 star. She's going to knock it out the park. Like, and it just wasn't that for me. And that's okay. It just was just not what I expected. There's a couple plot twists and I feel like I guessed them. And I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it. My full review is on Goodreads though, or Fable, whichever one. Next, the last book that I've read so far on my 2025 TBR is The Wedding People by Alison S. Batch. So this book, I have a lot of feelings about this book. First and foremost, I was going to DNF it. I was so over it. I was like, this book is so slow. I don't like the writing. No. I'm so glad I kept with it because I ended up rating it 5 stars. 5 stars. I've heard really great things about this book, which is why I kept pushing through it. I was like, let me just get like halfway and I'll stop. I'll DNF it if I get there. And I got halfway and I kept reading it and I was like, wow, I love this book. I ended up really liking the writing. I love the characters. I really liked where the plot went with this book. I didn't know what to expect, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, overall, I really did enjoy it, even though it was a really slow start in my opinion. And I didn't necessarily like the writing, but I ended up enjoying it in the end. So there's that. So those are the 25 books I want to read in 2025. Thanks for watching. I'm super excited to hopefully knock these books off my list, and I'll keep you guys updated. Thanks. Bye.